Hey, I'm Sam, and imagine this waking up tomorrow completely debt free. No credit card balances, no student loans, zero car payments. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, exactly 1 year ago, I was drowning in $20,000 of debt, feeling completely trapped, and yet here I am today, fully debt free without making huge sacrifices. Want to know how I did it? First things first, let's clear up one huge myth. Paying off debt fast means giving up everything you enjoy. Completely false. You don't have to stop going out, cut your Netflix subscription, or skip your daily coffee. Trust me, I didn't. But here's the twist. There are a few specific, powerful strategies that made all the difference. So stick around because today I'm sharing exactly what those strategies are. When I realized I was $20,000 in debt, I felt overwhelmed. Maybe you know the feeling, checking your bank account and immediately getting stressed. But the first step I took, and probably the smartest thing anyone can do, was facing the reality. Yep, actually sitting down and totaling exactly how much I owed. Why was this so powerful? Because once you know your number, you gain clarity. And clarity is the starting point to financial freedom. Now let me ask you this. Do you know the interest rates on all your debts right now? Most people don't. And that's exactly why they stay trapped longer than necessary. Here's what I discovered. My highest interest debt was costing me hundreds of dollars extra every month. So my next step was obvious. I prioritized the debts with the highest interest rates first. But how exactly did I do this without drastically changing my lifestyle? Well, this leads me to the next strategy that truly changed the game for me. Instead of restricting my spending dramatically, I found extra money hidden in plain sight. How? By doing a quick audit of my monthly expenses, I realized something shocking. I was spending over $100 per month on subscriptions I hardly used. Honestly, when was the last time you really looked at your subscriptions? I immediately canceled the ones I didn't need, redirecting that extra cash directly towards my debt payments. Easy, right? But that wasn't all. I knew I needed more than a few canceled subscriptions to tackle $20,000 of debt quickly. And this brings us to the next powerful step. I found easy, low-effort ways to boost my income. Nothing complicated or overwhelming, I promise. For example, selling unused stuff around the house was surprisingly effective. Seriously, do you realize how much money is sitting unused in your closets and drawers right now? By simply selling old clothes, gadgets, and furniture I didn't need anymore, I quickly made several $100s that went straight toward debt. But here's where it gets really interesting. I discovered something even more powerful and effective, and it wasn't just about selling things. Ever heard about negotiation? I used a simple negotiation strategy with my phone company, internet provider, and even credit card companies. I simply called and asked for better rates, and guess what? It worked. Suddenly, hundreds of extra dollars were freed up every single month. Now at this point, you might be wondering, does paying off debt mean you can't have fun anymore? Absolutely not, and here's the key. Instead of spending money mindlessly, I became intentional about enjoying life on a budget. Instead of dinners out every weekend, I hosted friends at home. And guess what? Those nights became some of my favorite memories. The point is, you don't need to sacrifice joy to become debt-free. But there's something even more powerful and important that I learned about debt repayment. A psychological trick that made staying motivated effortless. Ever heard of the snowball method? Most people haven't, and yet it's incredibly effective. It's simply about paying your smallest debts first, gaining momentum, and psychologically building motivation as you watch debts disappear quickly. But how exactly do you use this method effectively without ignoring the important high-interest debts we talked about earlier? Well, here's the secret I discovered. Combining both strategies. I paid off one small debt first to quickly gain motivation, then shifted focus to high-interest debts. And the psychological effect? Absolutely incredible. Watching debts disappear one after another kept me inspired and driven the entire year. But there was one more crucial step that truly sealed the deal for me. Something most people completely overlook. Curious to know what it was? Stay with me, Because in just a moment, I'm going to share the single most impactful step that not only accelerated my debt-free journey, but also permanently changed how I manage my money. You definitely don't want to miss this. The biggest game changer in my debt-free journey was surprisingly simple: automation. Yep, automating my payments transformed the entire experience. Instead of constantly worrying about deadlines or manually transferring funds, I set up automatic payments for all my debts. Suddenly, the stress vanished. But why exactly is automation so powerful, and how can you use it right now to crush your debt? When your payments are automatic, you're essentially removing emotions from the process. Think about it. Every time you manually make a payment, it can feel painful, reminding you of all the things you can't buy or do. Automating payments completely flips that feeling. It happens behind the scenes, quietly, without the emotional friction of manually handing over money each month. Trust me, this psychological shift alone made my journey 1,000 times easier. And here's another powerful tip that made automation even more effective. I aligned my payments exactly with my payday. Why? Because I never saw the money. It went straight from my paycheck to paying down debt before I even had the chance to think about spending it elsewhere. Imagine this: your paycheck hits, your debts decrease automatically, and you never feel deprived because you adjust naturally to what's left. Pretty clever, right? But automation alone wouldn't have gotten me debt-free in just 1 year without one crucial mindset shift. Let's be honest, most people treat debt repayment like a punishment. But what if you reframed it completely? Instead of punishment, I started seeing debt repayment as freedom payments. Every dollar paid meant one step closer to complete financial freedom. Sounds a bit cheesy maybe, but it genuinely works. Changing your mindset is as powerful as any practical tip I've shared today. Now, you might wonder, how exactly do you stay disciplined and motivated for an entire year? One powerful strategy was celebrating milestones. Every few $1,000s paid off, I treated myself. Not with extravagant spending, but with small, meaningful rewards. It could be a dinner out, a small gift, or even a day off just to relax. These mini celebrations kept me motivated and energized throughout my entire debt-free journey. But let's talk about one final, incredibly important aspect: accountability. I shared my debt repayment goal with close friends and family, which added powerful motivation to stick with my plan. There's something about having other people rooting for you and checking in that makes quitting almost impossible. But how can you effectively involve others without feeling embarrassed about your debt? Here's exactly what I did. I didn't overshare specifics, just the goal. I simply said, I'm working to become debt-free this year. And the encouragement and support flowed in naturally. So let's quickly recap the powerful strategies that got me from $20,000 in debt to completely debt-free in 1 year, without huge sacrifices. First, facing reality by clearly knowing your debt amount and interest rates. Next, cutting hidden expenses and boosting income easily. Negotiating lower bills to free up hundreds of dollars monthly. Using psychological hacks like the debt snowball method to maintain motivation. Automating payments aligned perfectly with payday, removing emotional friction. Celebrating milestones and reframing repayment as freedom payments rather than punishment. And finally, involving others for built-in accountability. But here's the biggest takeaway of all: becoming debt-free isn't just about tactics or methods. It's about empowerment. It's about reclaiming control over your finances, your stress levels, and ultimately, your life. Imagine how incredible you'll feel 1 year from today, waking up debt-free, financially confident, and genuinely excited about your future. It's absolutely possible because I did it, and so can you. Now it's your turn. I'd love to hear from you. Which one of these strategies resonated most? Which step are you going to take first? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. Thanks for watching, and remember, your journey to debt-free living starts with just one step. Make today the day you take it.